Snow fell through a low gray sky over the Ardennes. The fields south of Bastogne lay white and silent, except for the muted churn of engines and the distant thud of artillery. The temperature hovered below freezing. Diesel smoke drifted low to the ground, hanging in the tree line. The road to Assinois was a narrow ribbon bordered by hedgerows and scattered pines, its surface hardened by frost and chewed by tank tracks. Inside an American tank, 5 men waited. The tank was an M4 Sherman, a late production model fitted with a 76mm M1 gun. Its armor, at its thickest on the glacis plate, measured just over 2 inches and was sloped to improve its effective resistance. Its Continental radial engine vibrated through the hull, the sound steady but strained in the cold. The crew wore heavy wool beneath their tanker jackets. Condensed breath clouded the turret interior. For months, the Sherman had carried a reputation among friend and foe alike. German propaganda called it a death trap. American tankers had their own name for it, Ronson, after the cigarette lighter advertised with the slogan, "Lights every time." The nickname implied that when hit, the Sherman burned. There was some truth in the early war experience. Ammunition stowed along the sponsons had proven vulnerable. Penetration could ignite propellant. But by late 1944, many Shermans were fitted with wet ammunition stowage, their rounds surrounded by water jackets designed to suppress fire. Losses from catastrophic burn had dropped significantly. The tank had evolved. Still, reputation lingered longer than statistics. Opposing them now were elements of the German 5th Panzer Army, part of Hitler's last great offensive in the West, the Ardennes counteroffensive that began on December 16. Snowstorms and low cloud had grounded Allied air power. German armored columns had punched deep into thinly held American lines. Bastogne, a vital road junction, was encircled. The men inside the Sherman were part of Combat Command R, 4th Armored Division, under General George S. Patton's 3rd Army. Patton had pivoted his army north in a maneuver that astonished even his own staff. In less than a week, entire divisions had reoriented 90 degrees in winter conditions to relieve Bastogne. The relief column advanced cautiously. German armor was known to be operating in the area. Panthers and Panzer IVs, both mounting high-velocity guns capable of penetrating a Sherman frontally at well over 1,000 yards. The Panther's 75mm KWK-42L70 could penetrate approximately 150 millimeters of armor at 1,000 meters under ideal conditions. The Sherman's 76mm gun, firing M62 APC rounds, could penetrate roughly 109 millimeters at 1,000 yards at a 30-degree impact angle. On paper, the German tank had the advantage in armor and range. But combat did not unfold on paper. Visibility that morning was limited to several hundred yards. Snow muffled sound and obscured contours. The American column advanced along the road in staggered formation, infantry riding half-tracks behind. At approximately 900 hours, lead elements reported movement near a tree line bordering an open field south of Assinois. A German armored detachment had positioned itself to block the road. The American Shermans halted behind cover. Engines idled. Commanders scanned through periscopes and binoculars. The wind carried the faint clank of metal and the distinct rumble of Maybach engines. The first German tank emerged from behind the trees, a Panzer IV Ost-H. Its long 75mm gun tracked slowly across the field. 2 more shapes followed, spaced perhaps 50 yards apart. Snow dusted their hulls. The American tank commander, a lieutenant in his early 20s, studied the distance. 600 yards. Close enough for accurate fire, too close for error. He ordered the gunner to lay on the lead Panzer. Inside the turret, the gunner adjusted elevation. The crosshairs settled just below the turret ring of the German tank. The loader rammed a 76mm armor-piercing round into the breech. The breech block snapped shut. On. Fire. The Sherman rocked as the gun discharged. The recoil mechanism absorbed the backward force. The spent casing clanged to the turret floor. Through the gun sight, the gunner saw the round strike just forward of the turret, sparks flashing. A half-second passed, then smoke vented from the Panzer's hull. It halted abruptly, its guns sagging. The German formation reacted at once. The second tank slewed left, attempting to bring its gun to bear. The third reversed towards the tree line. The Sherman's commander ordered a shift to the second target. Range closing, now 550 yards. The gunner fired again. This time the round struck the turret face. The Panzer's gun fired almost simultaneously. Its shell passed wide, exploding in the snow behind the American tank, showering the hull with dirt and ice. The American loader worked with mechanical precision. Another round chambered. The turret transversed slightly right to correct aim. Third shot. The impact penetrated. Flames licked from the German commander's hatch. The tank lurched, then went still. The third German vehicle attempted withdrawal, angling towards cover. The American Sherman advanced several yards to clear a hedgerow that obscured part of the field. The driver eased forward under shouted direction from the commander, who stood half-exposed in the open hatch, despite the risk. At roughly 500 yards, the American gunner fired again. The round struck the rear quarter of the withdrawing Panzer. Smoke issued from the engine compartment. The tank halted, its crew scrambling from the hatches, slipping in the snow as they fled towards the trees. Less than 10 minutes had passed since the first shot. 3 German tanks disabled, the road partially cleared. The engagement was not unique in the scale of the war. It did not involve dozens of vehicles or a named battlefield, but it represented a reality often lost in reputation. Under certain conditions, close range, proper positioning, disciplined crew coordination, the Sherman was fully capable of defeating its German counterparts. The American column did not pause long. Reports indicated additional resistance closer to Bastogne. The Shermans resumed their advance, infantry dismounting to clear nearby woods. By mid-afternoon on December 23rd, lead elements of the 4th Armored Division reached the perimeter of Bastogne and made contact with the 101st Airborne Division, which had been surrounded for nearly a week. The encirclement was not immediately broken, but a corridor had been opened. Supplies and reinforcements could move in. The German timetable, already strained by fuel shortages and stiff American resistance, began to unravel. In the days that followed, fighting continued in bitter cold. Tanks bogged in frozen ground. Engines failed. Frostbite claimed casualties without a shot fired. Across the Ardennes, hundreds of Shermans were lost during the Battle of the Bulge. So were Panthers and Panzer IVs. The battlefield was littered with burnt hulls of both sides. German armor, though formidable, suffered from mechanical breakdowns and a chronic lack of fuel. Many Panthers were abandoned not from enemy fire, but from empty tanks. The Sherman's strengths lay elsewhere: mechanical reliability, ease of production, standardized parts, and numerical availability. By the end of the war, over 49,000 had been built. No German tank approached that number. Late war variants improved survivability. Wet stowage reduced catastrophic fires by as much as 75%, according to U.S. Army studies. The 76mm gun, while not superior to the Panthers, offered improved penetration over the earlier 75mm. Tactics emphasized maneuver, flanking fire, artillery coordination, and combined arms integration. American doctrine did not rely on tank versus tank duels alone. Tank destroyer units, armed with 3-inch and later 90mm guns, were tasked with countering heavy armor. Air power, when weather permitted, attacked German columns relentlessly. But on December 23rd, in a snow-covered Belgian field, none of those broader systems mattered to the 5 men inside that single Sherman. Only range, aim, and timing mattered.
The reputation of a weapon is shaped by statistics and memory. Early encounters in North Africa and Normandy had left deep impressions. Stories traveled faster than technical reports. A burning tank is unforgettable. Yet so is a moment when a crew holds steady, fires accurately, and prevails. The Ardennes offensive would officially end in late January 1945. German forces expended irreplaceable reserves of men and equipment. The Western Front stabilized. Within 4 months, American and Soviet forces would meet on the Elbe River. Germany would surrender unconditionally on May 7, 1945. The Sherman did not win the war alone. No single tank did. Victory emerged from production lines in Detroit and Pittsburgh, from rail yards and fuel depots, from infantry foxholes and artillery batteries.